Hey y'all, welcome to the American Farmsteadhers podcast. My name is Donna at Hazelbell Farm, and I am your only host today. Normally, I get to co-host this show with Jenny at the Gramstead Family Farm, and Jenny is tending to some important family business today. So we wish her well, and I promised her that I would get something up. So I'm terribly sorry that I am late. We publish on Fridays, and hey, it's still Friday, so it counts. So happy Friday to all my Farmsteader friends. We've both been playing catch up in the gardens, catch up in canning. It's still canning season. I'm just going to kind of give you a brief rundown of kind of what we're doing right now. We intended to discuss garden clean out and getting set up for the fall garden. So I'm going to just give you a quick rundown about what I'm doing here on my farm to give you some quick ideas, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more next week when Jenny's back with us and we can talk together, because it's a lot more interesting to listen to a conversation than just me talking to you. So we apologize, but it is what it is. Thank you for bearing with us. So we are local here in Northeast Florida. We are zone 9A. Some would call it 8B. I guess our freezing temps actually do get down to 8B. We're kind of on that border where it's almost subtropical in the summer, temperate in the winter, where we get freezes, but we don't get a lot of freezes. And we don't get a lot of hard freezes. They don't last for days and days. We don't get any kind of frosty ground, like permafrost kind of frost. So we have a really long growing season. And although our first estimated frost date is going to be the middle of November, I should have looked to see how many days that gives us. Normally, we'll get like one frost sometime in late November. And if you can protect your plants from that, then we won't get another frost for another 2 to 4 weeks afterwards, at least. Usually that's the case. And so I don't really count that as my first estimated frost date anymore, unless I have something like extremely large that I can't cover, like a moringa tree or something like that. Then I'm probably going to lose that. But, your other summer things, like if you have a handful of tomato plants, you can probably cover them over and they'll be okay. Squashes, maybe not so much. I mean, and also a frost is different than a freeze. So we can get frost as warm as 40 degrees. It just has to have the correct atmospheric conditions. A freeze, squash and tomatoes and things like that aren't going to make it. We don't typically get a freeze until much, much later. So here's what I'm planning. I'm kind of planning like a second spring garden. I'm going to start seeds. A lot of times I'll go ahead and just start seeds just direct outside. I'm going to do these in my shed this year under grow lights. And I'm doing peppers, tomatoes, cabbage, cauliflower, and broccoli. So that's just off the top of my head. That I jotted down real quickly. Once I get going through my seed stash, I'm sure I will have a lot more. I have ready to order onion sets, garlic, potatoes, and some asparagus crowns. I have not grown asparagus before. I have attempted asparagus before, but I think I didn't have the right variety. Being close to Gainesville, Florida, the University of Florida has put out some new cultivars of asparagus that do well here. There's a lot of new studies of some new varieties, and so I'm excited to try some of those. We'll also start green beans, beets, lettuce, and spinach. And then I'm going to sow directly by August 1st. Melons, sweet corn, cucumbers, okra, pumpkins, squash, and some more southern peas. I say more. I normally have southern peas going by now, and I have not yet. I usually have a harvest by now, and then I add more. I didn't do that yet this year. I'm still adjusting to the size garden that I have at this new farm. And I'm also adjusting to back to in-ground gardening. I have some raised beds, some in-ground beds, and new soil. All of that I've talked about in the past. So I'm going through quite the adjustment period on all of that. So yeah, that's it. So really right now, as far as like what I'm doing over this next week, in the third week of July, is I'm walking through my garden. I've done this week. I'm walking through the garden. I'm kind of taking stock of what has gone. Where are the disease places? Like I have one bed that has a lot of zinnias in it, but those zinnias have taken on a bacterial disease. I know that I probably don't want to put tomatoes in there. So as I clean that out, I'll probably try to solarize that bed. So I have a couple beds like that I want to clean them out. I just want to tear everything out that is either dead or dying or just doesn't look healthy, isn't thriving. I'll tear them out. I'll compost them. Some of them I'll burn, like depending on what the disease is. If it's just dying, like from pests and that, I'll go ahead and compost it. And I'm going to work on kind of a hot compost / chicken compost project for that. Basically, I'm going to let the chickens do the work, and then I'm going to use their manure and anything they've torn through to finish hot composting and put that right in the garden. So more on that later. It's a little bit of an experiment, and I'm afraid to give too many details because if it doesn't work and I kill my garden, I don't want you to replicate that. So I'm tearing out anything that's dead. I'm going to tarp over those beds that do have disease and give them a couple of weeks just under the tarps, moistening everything first, and then add some fresh compost to some of those beds before we plant again. Pulling weeds. I've got weeds galore. It looks a little jungle-like in some of the areas. I have some things that are still thriving. Off the top of my head, I have like this wall of cucumbers. They are sterile cucumbers. I don't understand. I've never had such a problem with cucumbers as I have this year. I have some green beans that are still producing. I've gotten most of the flushes from them. Those plants look beautiful. They're flowering, and they keep flowering, but a lot of those flowers are dying now. It's just way too hot. So like those kinds of things I may leave just to have a living something in that spot for now. I've got peanuts. I don't know when the peanuts are ready. I might dig a plant or two and see what's going on underneath there to see if I have any peanuts. That's another thing I struggled with this year. They looked great, and then all of a sudden something started taking them out. I think it was grasshoppers, but I'm not for sure on that. Tomatoes are finishing up, so I'll let them do their thing. Anything that's dying back or too diseased, I'll go ahead and take out. Those I will burn because I don't want to spread that to the next crop of tomatoes. Any healthy looking stems that I can pull off, I will go ahead and snip them with a clean snip on the bottom, and I'm going to replant those elsewhere in the garden to get new tomato starts off of those suckers. And then the end of my garden is kind of wild. I don't have like formal beds established in there. So what I'm going to do is I need to get some soil and plant that up, and I'm going to compost it heavily, and I think that's where some sweet corn is going to go. And then we have I need to run some barbed wire across the back of the fence to keep the cows out of the blackberries. I need to tie up the blackberries. I just have a lot of maintenance type things to do in this part of the year. And so I kind of went over the list of things I'm going to start, some things I have planned over the next couple of weeks. And then hopefully when we get into September and then October, our nights will start cooling a little bit, and it won't be so incredibly hot and muggy all the time, 24/7. And the cool fronts will start coming through so that the plants get a little bit of reprieve, and maybe, some flowers can actually set fruit. And really looking forward to that part of the garden again before we move into the cold season. And of course it's Florida. So, how cold is it? The only month that I really count as cold as far as gardening goes is late January and then February. We get a good probably 6 weeks somewhere in there where it's just too cold, but there's too much danger of frost and hard freeze to do any of the summer things. But right now, as we gear up before that, we're able to plan, like I said, I'm starting peppers and eggplants and tomatoes and melons, like all of those hot, warm weather season things. We're going to do a whole second round. So that's exciting. I know Jenny's working on much of the same. She is working on new patches for her garden as well, as it's her 7th year gardening on that land. And so she's looking to kind of rotate a little bit and let the land rest, as she's had some extra trouble that she hasn't had over the last 6 years, and is seeing that now. And so I don't know details of what she's doing, but I know that's kind of her loose plan there. So I'm sure she'll elaborate on that next week. So we have other fun, exciting things happening. If you are local here, and you've been following our farm pages and that, you might see we are waiting on a calf out of my best cow, my Hazel girl, my Jersey girl. She's our top milk producer, and she's my baby, and I'm waiting on her to have a baby. So anytime now. And then, I was saying, if you're local, we have that chicken butcher workshop next weekend. I think we have only 1 spot left, maybe 2. I have to go back and check. But the cost for that is $65. It's for 2 people. You will learn how to do all the steps from catching the bird to leaving with you'll leave with 1 cleaned bird. And we'll show you how to do it. Then we'll guide you through doing all the steps yourself. And so that's really cool. I love to see people get excited about that and really be proud of what they've done, what they've learned, and feel confident that they can bring that back home to their own little backyard flocks and put food on the table. So that's exciting. So, I think that's it for now. That's all the announcements I have. I look forward to continuing the conversation next week when Jenny is available. Thank you guys so much for bearing with us. We try to treat this a little bit as a job, and in a manner of like, we don't want to miss. We don't want to miss at all. We know that a lot of you are counting on hearing the podcast, even though it's not our job. we have a lot going on. Also, we have families. We have farms, we have all the things that come with being a mama, a wife, a farmer, and, a provider. And so but we have the passion to teach people how to grow food. And so that's what we hope that we're sharing here with you guys here. And we're happy to do it for nothing more than the satisfaction of doing it. And so if we do have to miss, it should be very rare, and we just thank you for your patience. So on that note, we will talk to you next week, and thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.